Hello and welcome to Core Finance. Happy Friday to all you traders out there. I'm joined down the line by Tim Young, who is a day trader at Ayondo. Tim, thank you very much for joining us on this bright and sunny Friday morning.
No problem, Matt. My pleasure.
Good stuff. Well, as always, we're looking at the FTSE, and actually not a bad week for the FTSE. So let's start off with the daily chart. Just talk us through where we are with the FTSE, where you think it can go, and more so, let's have a look at the MACDs, the stochastics, and the RSI, and what are they really telling us at the moment, if anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult market to call at the moment, the FTSE. I've been saying for a long time that I think it's going to break out over 7.5 and up to the 7.6s, but it just hasn't really followed through on that. You know, we've got the Dow and the DAX breaking out to new highs, but the FTSE doesn't seem to have followed through yet. So, I mean, it's been a good week for me in terms of making, you know, quite a few winning trades intraday. But in terms of overall direction, looking at that daily chart, I think, yet again, it does look like it wants to go up again. We've got we've had this pullback over the last few days where it hardly went anywhere, but now we've the stochastic looks like it's hooking up, looks like it's got more room to go up. The MACD histogram looks like it's about to change direction. The RSI's got plenty of room to go up on the daily. So based on that, it does look like it's got more room to go higher, but it just doesn't seem to have actually followed through on that at the moment. So in terms of long-term direction on the FTSE, I'm not very clear on that at the moment, I must be honest. I mean, I'm making intraday trades, which are going well on the bullish side, certainly not shorting, but based on the chart, it looks like it wants to go higher, but it hasn't followed through. So, sorry for the non-committal answer, but it's a difficult market to call at the moment, I feel, the FTSE.
No, understood. I mean, I feel the same about the FTSE, and you mentioned the Dow and the DAX and the strong performance we're seeing there. Now, it does feel as if we have a global bull run, and this bull run continues globally, that at some point the penny will drop, that the FTSE in comparison is undervalued, and with a lot of fund managers chasing value and chasing yield, it feels like the FTSE will have its day if the global economy stays on the positive side. So it does feel it needs to go higher, should be going higher, considering the constituents and the global makeup of the FTSE. But until fund managers really start coming in and buying the FTSE versus, for example, as you say, the DAX and the Dow, that we're not going to see that uplift, and it's probably quite frustrating, certainly for you if you're focusing on the FTSE, just waiting for that day when the FTSE will begin to shine again.
Exactly. I mean, as an intraday trader, it's actually been quite a good week for me. There's been a lot of playable moves, you know, intraday, but in terms of calling the overall direction, I think you probably hit the nail on the head there. Eventually, the value will be seen. You know, the Dow and the DAX are running away, but the FTSE's still showing relative value. So it's just waiting for it to break out over the 7.5 level. But certainly I would not want to be shorting this market. I think a lot of people are looking for this big crash that just hasn't arrived yet, and keep harking back to 1987 and so on. But I think it's a dangerous strategy to short this market.
Understood. And looking, as you already mentioned, looking at the weekly, does the weekly give us any indication either, or again, is it more of the same, a little bit directionless, but that slow grind higher?
Yeah, I think it's just this. I mean, it's unbelievable, really, just how sideways it's been for the last however many weeks that is, probably about 17, 18 weeks. We've just had this sideways grind. It's a really difficult one to call based on that. You know, the RSI's still got further to go. The most likely scenario, as I say, is that it's just one big consolidation before pushing higher. But it's taken a long time to do it, and you know, it's all you can say about that is there's been a remarkable lack of volatility over the last few months, really. And you know, there's numerous times it looks like it wants to break down, and then it doesn't, and then it won't break up as well. So, in a way, it's a good market for a short-term trader. For a day trader and short-term. But again, I think it's just looking like a long-term consolidation before going higher. But when is that going to happen? Is anyone's guess at the moment.
Understood. And just briefly on the day trading, just talk our viewers through how you actually look at that. So in the morning, are you setting levels, waiting for those levels to be hit? If you're generally bullish, maybe a pullback, enter the trade, and then are you setting at the point of entry your stops and limits around that?
Yeah, what I tend to do is I use the same sort of chart that you're seeing there, the daily and the weekly, but I zoom down to a much shorter time frame, and I wait for a pullback. I wait till it's oversold on the shorter time frame before going long. And I normally just set an arbitrary. I go for quite a small win, but try to string quite a few of them together. And I tend to have quite wide stops on this FTSE because the number of times I've seen it go down, take out people's stops, and then come back up again. So I tend to give it quite a bit of room to move. So I tend to just use the same sort of chart, but just focus down on a shorter time period. And then they just wait for intraday pullbacks, get in, wait for a quick rise, get out again, and then try and repeat the process. And that's worked well for me so far this year.
Fantastic. Well, maybe next week we can actually look at maybe a specific trade, just so we can talk our viewers on the shorter time frame. But in the meantime, Tim, as always, a pleasure having you on the show. Have yourself a great weekend and look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers.